Okay, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. We want to thank you for joining us today for the webinar, Mastering the Latest Trends in Audiovisual with Key Digital. We really appreciate you being with us today, and we are very happy you've joined us for the webinar. You see on the screen here a instruction for creating a profile on Key Digital University. We will show this instruction at the end of the presentation as well. So go ahead and focus on the training now if you haven't already created a Key Digital University profile, and we will show you how to do this later. And it's going to be very nice for you. You'll be able to take exams that are AVIXA, Infocom, and CEDIA certified, so you can continue to collect your continuing education renewal units. Once again, we appreciate you being here with us today. And at the end of today's seminar, we will take questions. So please write your questions down. We would love to hear them, and you will submit them via the chat panel, but I will be answering all of the questions at the end of the course. So without further ado, let us go ahead and begin. How to master the latest AV trends with Key Digital. So if you're not familiar with Key Digital, we are a 21-year-old company. My name is Jonathan. I'm the technical group manager coming to you from my home in New York, right outside of New York City in the United States of America. I'm very happy to be with you all today. It is very late Tuesday night, Wednesday morning in New York, and I did not go to sleep in preparation for this course. So instead, I had some coffee, and I'm excited to be here with you today. I've been with Key Digital since 2008, so that's 12 years now. I have 15 years of experience in the AV industry. Before Key Digital, I was with Toshiba on their consumer products division, and I've done many responsibilities here at Key Digital. So I'm very happy to present to you all of what we have been up to here at Key Digital. But it's not about me. At Key Digital, it is about Mike Tsinberg. See here. Sorry, one moment. Okay. Sorry, there was a quick message from the GoToMeeting, and I want to make sure that we address everything we can here. Great. Video, audio, wonderful. Okay. Now, the message I just received from the GoToWebinar is that today's webinar is now fully attended. So it looks like there is a limitation. That's a great problem to have. And I just want to address that. First of all, we are recording this session, and we will be posting it after it completes rendering to our YouTube channel. So within the next day or two, we will have a video that you can share with your colleagues if you hear from your colleagues that they are not able to enter today's training. They will be able to view the video at a later time. Anyhow, back to Key Digital and Mike Tsinberg. Quickly, a note about Mike Tsinberg. He is considered the father of DVD. He earned that title from his accomplishments at Toshiba, where he created DVD. They brought him in to be head of research and development for that project back in the 1990s. Now, they brought him in at Toshiba. Why? Because of his accomplishments even before becoming the father of DVD. Mike, back in the middle part of the 1980s, developed the first high-definition television transmission system. That was the ATSC signal. Now that was the goal for Mike, and that was achieved at North American Phillips Corporation, where his project, he was the one and only engineer on that patent for high definition. And his goal to build high definition was like looking on the other side of a large canyon, and he had to build a bridge to get there. And that's how the bulk of his 40 patents came to be, all towards the goal of high definition. And he is also the recipient of the Infocom Adele Deberry AV Pioneer Award. Now, speaking of Infocom, all of our online training curriculum that we'll kind of give you a quick tour of at the end of the presentation are Infocom Avixa and CEDIA accredited courses. So please do continue your education with us because it will be worth your time. Now, let's go ahead and get into this latest trend in AV. Trend number 1, UCC. What does UCC mean? Unified Communications and Collaboration. And we at Key Digital are able to achieve that and deliver that with our Presentation Solutions product family. We have a wide assortment of products. Some of these products are brand new to you. Some of them are over a year old now. So this is a product category that Key Digital in our 21 years as a manufacturer have been always involved in conference rooms, always involved in classrooms, executive boardrooms, and lecture halls. However, we now have a full product family that is extremely focused on presentation solutions for unified communications and collaborations. This trend we will explore further. So what is unified communications collaborations, aka UCC? UCC is a combination of tools to communicate and collaborate. What are the tools we use? Certainly our laptops. Those laptops have a variety of AV connectivity on them now. In addition to laptops, BYOD, bring your own device, tablets that may not have an AV connection port to plug into your system. To see and to hear these tools, we need projectors, displays, speakers, amplifiers. To interact with these tools, we need keyboard, mouse, USB camera. To connect to our colleagues all over the world, just like we're doing today, we need the internet, of course, to enable video conferencing. This is so crucial right now in this global pandemic of COVID-19. And we need all of these tools to be integrated into a single management system. And that's going to help. All of this, why are your customers investing money in UCC? Why is this a trend? Because of money, of course, because there is opportunity, of course. Why are they spending money? To help them overcome the previous challenges of multiple platforms, of proprietary systems and expensive systems, of course, with different connectivity types and all of these different proprietary systems speaking different languages. Wait a minute, this sounds familiar. Expensive, proprietary, different connectivity, different languages. That's exactly what you, as an AV integrator, have already been doing, isn't it? If you think about it, we have multiple brands. Some are controlled over IP using hex, others with ASCII. Then you have IR, infrared, RS-232, HDMI, VGA, analog audio, digital audio. It's just exactly, and of course some systems more expensive than others, it's exactly what we have been doing in the AV realm, in the Pro AV realm for all these years now. So that is this trend. Now, Continuing, and I'm sorry, I'd like to just take a quick moment. There is a question about somebody's colleague cannot enter the webinar. I'm terribly sorry, but it is full at this time. And I'm sorry for that because this is a surprise to us. The software was supposed to allow for a larger number, but we have now filled the room completely. But again, we will have this webinar available for viewing in a video within the next day or two. So again, UCC, all of these different platforms, how do we unify them? And why are companies spending money to make this a trend? Because UCC increases efficiency for their workforce. It should increase productivity for their workforce, and it creates a network of more connectivity within their workforce. So let's look at Key Digital's solution for unifying communications and collaboration, beginning with our conference room system. The conference room system is our presentation solution system with USB. It is a complete solution. There will be no programming required, and the USB signal routing and extension enables video conferencing with any of the popular video conferencing softwares that you wish. Presenters can plug into the wall plate, and you can choose the presenter easily that you're viewing on the screen, as well as the content that you're sharing to your meeting participants using your video conferencing software. You can control a professional 1080p high definition PTZ camera. You can enforce your speech with the microphone mix level and the speaker volume level with our amplifier. To achieve this, we use our presentation solutions products with USB. We have our KD UPS 52U. This is our universal presentation switcher, UPS 52U. What does it mean 52U? 5 in, 2 out, but it's not 5 times 2. It's 52. Why? It is not a matrix. The two outputs are mirrored. And then the final U in the naming is for USB. So UPS 52U, Universal Presentation Switcher, 5 in, 2 out with USB. It has 2 HDMI, a USB-C, a DisplayPort, and an HD-Base-T input. That HD-Base-T input integrates natively with the KDX 4x1 WUTX. That's the wall plate that you see at the bottom center of the screen. The X4x1 WUTX is an extender with 4 ins, 1 out, W for wall, U for USB, and TX for transmit. You have the receiver, the KDX100MRX, and you also have the KDPS22 UTX. This is the bottom right corner. This is a brand new release product coming soon that is an under-the-table solution. We'll show you more closely here in a moment. This entire system requires only a single power supply connection into the main presentation switcher. So without looking at every single product up close, we want to show you the brand new products coming soon. Here is the PS22 UTX presentation switcher, 22, 2 in, 2 out, U for USB, and transmitter. I'm going to stop explaining the model numbers each time. Just want to let you know that each letter and character and number represents something, and we try to make it easy for you. So here's the KD PS22 UTX. Now we've had the wall plate and the presentation switcher available for a number of months now, close to a year, and people began to ask us about an under-the-table mounted solution for integrating their sources at the conference table. And the PS22 UTX is just that. It's designed for under the table mounting and installation. It gets its power from the presentation switcher, but you do see a power supply connection there, which is very important for one of our applications that I will show you in a moment. It has auto switching that is available, or button switching on the front, and the auto switching and button switching can also be activated through our free Key Digital app. It has two HDMI inputs, so that you can have a cable at the front of the conference table and at the rear of the conference table. And very, very nice here, it supports audio return channel. So many times people ask us, do you have an extender, an HD-based-T extender that supports ARC? And this is our first product which does allow, or does support ARC. A lot of people don't understand that ARC was not part of the HD-based-T specification until later stages and later updates to the HD-based-T chips, and they are very expensive, unfortunately. That's why you don't see audio return channel in many products in the industry. There's a second HDMI output here so that you can connect to a local monitor. Let's look at some of these application examples. So here's the PS22 UTX, brand new product, as I mentioned, and of course, you can install it with the presentation switcher, or you can install it direct to the X100MRX. It is sold independently. You have your two HDMIs, and the presenter just connects the HDMI plus the USB cable. And now we see our CAM USB signal flowing through this extender set, so that whoever plugs in that USB now can be the host for the video conference application. You add to that a USB microphone speaker combo from some of the popular conferencing products out there, and now you have a full solution that for your soft conference enabling systems. Here we see adding a local or secondary display. That's very useful for larger systems, or when you have like a presenter who would like to look at the monitor without having to look over their shoulder at the projection or large panel when they're presenting. And because there is audio de-embedding, you could feed right into a powered speaker or into our amplifier, as we show here. This is KD Amp 220. It's our amplifier. 2 channel, 20 watts per channel. Okay, Class D amplifier, not very large, but it does get the job done. But what if your space is too large for a 2 channel 20 watt amp? Well, what's very nice is that the Amp 220 has not only speaker outputs, but also a pass-through output. So it can act as a preamp, controlling the volume and the microphone mix level to feed in to your third-party amplifier. Now, we have a question that I will answer. And again, I do plan to answer all of the questions at the end of the seminar. So I appreciate you guys sending these in. And this one just happened to come up and made perfect sense to me. The question is, if the USB microphone and speaker is also plugged into the transmit and also recognized by the PC, yes, that's right. When we take a step back here to this design, okay, let me close this question. When we take a step back here to these designs, for example, the microphone, the USB microphone and speaker, and the camera, they're plugged in to the USB B ports. We see them here, USB A ports on the receiver, the receiver, the X100MRX. So we have 2 ports on the units though. And so now when the user plugs in their laptop USB, the camera, the KD Cam USB, is the web camera for the presenter, giving you a large view of the room. And the USB microphone speaker is now connected into the sound card of the laptop. So it creates a very professional system with just the USB connection being all it requires. Very good question. I hope I understood your question correctly, and I hope I answered your question correctly. Thank you very much. And so here in this application, we show our AMP 220, and we also show something else very cool, very unique. The PS22 UTX is HD-based-T compatible with your projectors with built-in HD-Base-T receivers. And because the PS22 UTX has its own power supply and that power supply is included in the box, you could go ahead and connect that to your projector as long as you have the power supply connected to the PS22 UTX. So there you go. Some in-depth look at a brand new product, the PS22 UTX, that'll begin shipping in June, so in only 1 month now. Let's look at a popular product that is trending now for us at Key Digital. That is our USB camera, the KD Cam USB. Now, of course, with the stay at home and work from home orders of COVID-19 around the entire world, this has become a very, very hot product for us. The KD Cam USB is our professional USB camera. And as you saw in the previous designs, all you have to do is connect the USB into your laptop, and now this is your web camera. There's no drivers needed. It's plug and play with Windows, Mac, or Linux. And it has fantastic quality, 1080p, 10 times zoom, an autofocus feature that is just amazingly quick. So for more information on the Cam USB, you're going to see some more designs. Yes, 10 times optical zoom. Very good. We had a question here, and I hope I answered that. And you could create presets with the Cam USB, and we're going to show more application examples of how this product integrates with our system. And of course, you could also just plug it directly in to your laptop. Okay, so thank you very much. Here we see the viewing angle of the Cam USB. Good question. I believe it was 54 degrees. It is in the owner's manual, the viewing angle for the Cam USB. So I will answer that question at the end of the presentation. I will open up the manual with you. Great. So we started introducing our USB camera about 1 year ago at Infocom US 2019. And as we began selling more and more of them, it was asked, well, how about extending that USB without requiring Key Digital's presentation switchers? And of course, that's possible as well. But when our engineers tested the varying USB extenders that were in the market, we found such a wide variety and discrepancy of quality and price point. And most of them did not even work for extending a high quality web camera. So that is why our engineers decided it was necessary to develop our own USB 2.0 extender kit. And so here is our next product coming soon, KDX USB 2. This is a high quality product designed to work with our Cam USB and other high bandwidth USB devices like USB microphones and speakers for conferencing. And it will extend those signals up to 50 meters over a single Cat5e or 6. So we will be releasing this also in June, and it will also be plug and play with Windows, Mac, and Linux. No drivers needed. So this is going to be another hot product for us, and it is coming soon. So that was our UCC system for presentation spaces or for conferencing with USB. And we're going to come back to some of the features of that, so you'll see some more information here. But we also have a system for localized presentations, meaning without video conferencing, without the USB signal routing. So here's a system designed for classrooms and localized presentation. And again, this is going to be a complete audio, video, and control solution without any programming required. We're going to be able to control the monitors. We're going to be able to control speech and volume. And how does that work? Well, these presentation switchers all have CEC control. CEC control, and it's built into the face of the presentation switchers. So we can control the monitor on and off, volume up, volume down over CEC. You don't need IR wiring or RS-232 with our UCC systems. And we also have another solution for you. So first, before I proceed, take a look at this system. Slightly lower price point because there's no USB throughout this system. The presentation switcher has HD-Base-T in, and we have an HDMI plus VGA wall plate or a HDMI plus DisplayPort wall plate. And here is a closer look at the amplifier, which I've been showing, Arcady Amp 220. Many of you may have not used this product yet, but it is now fully integrated, easily integrated with all of our presentation solutions. So I think you're going to begin getting familiar with it. And a lot of folks really enjoy working with this product as the amplifier or, again, as the preamp, because you have a speaker and a preamp output. So here's a solution, here's an example of the PS42. And I highlighted the buttons. You see the green and blue buttons. That is your CEC control to the display or projector. You could have display on and off. You have AV muting. You have audio mute, volume plus and volume minus. And we send CEC commands to the display. So it makes a full conference room in a box. And what else did we have here? Well, some solutions, this may work fine for you to have the USB signal from the camera extended over the X-USB 2. So remember, you could create a full plug, a full presentation system with all of our family of products that we've discussed here. Now, it's not just the hardware. So you see what we have, a system with USB, system without USB. But it's the software. I have said to you, this will be a complete system, audio, video, and control without any programming necessary. What do I mean by this? Well, you will configure your Key Digital presentation system using our Key Digital management software. This is a free download. You will connect to the USB on the front of the unit, and setting number 1, you name the device. Why do you name the device? You can have many devices on the same network. For example, conference room 1, conference room 2, training room, and if you have many devices on the network, you will see a control layout like this for all of your devices. Step number 2, you apply the network settings for the device. Each device can have its own unique IP address. Okay? Step number 3, if you will have a camera, you can use this drop-down menu to add your camera to the system. In fact, we can control up to 7 cameras. And when we choose that we have a camera here, now we have a control page that has become visible. And we see that we have a GUI for controlling this camera. Up, down, left and right, home button, setting, presets, 1, 2, 3. Now we have that in the updated GUI. But what about the amplifier? What about the amplifier? If we have an amplifier, this is just a checkbox that we see if you follow my mouse. A checkbox that said, yes, I have the amplifier, and yes, I have a microphone. But when I press the checkbox, now I have the control panel visible. It says audio. And when I say, yes, I have the microphone, Now I have the slider here for the microphone. If I don't choose the checkbox for microphone, that slider remains invisible. That slider remains invisible. So it's perfect for the end user. And you see this control panel here on the PC software, and you will see it in our Key Digital app as well. I will show you in a moment. Now we continue the initial setup, and we can also apply input names and output names. For example, HDMI 2, we see the text laptop. And on the displays, we see conference room. So we could name these inputs and outputs in the Key Digital Management software. And now our system, our switcher, knows about the integrated system components so that it will build the system for you without any programming at all, just a few check boxes and selection boxes. So here we see integrated system wiring. So here is our iPad, our Key Digital app, and you see the control GUI. It looks like the screens I just showed you. The Key Digital app is a free app. You can download it on the iOS store now to see it. And over Wi-Fi, the app will send the commands to the presentation switcher. And the presentation switcher will convert from IP to RS-232. And it will output the RS-232 so that it can control the integrated products, the amplifier or the camera. It is a one-directional control, so it's the transmit and ground pin from the presentation switcher into the receive and ground pin of the amplifier. Now, what if we have the camera? Same thing, we have our camera control panel. The app sends the commands over the network. The presentation switcher could be the UPS-52U or the PS-42, and it will convert IP to RS-232. Now, the camera is typically not located at the presentation switcher, is it? The camera is typically located at the HD-Base-T receiver at the monitor. So, we feed transmit and ground into receive and ground with just a small copper 2-wire cable, transmit into receive on the HD-Base-T output connection of the presentation switcher, and then over HD-Base-T that RS-232 command signal goes out of the receiver into the camera, transmit and ground into receive and ground. And you can have the camera and the amplifier in the same system. Out of the same transmit and ground ports, just add into that Phoenix connector another wire connecting into the amplifier. And now you can connect your amplifier plus your camera to complete a full system that is going to have a really fantastic control interface, as you see here. So this is a closer look at the Key Digital app. It is a free download from the iOS App Store. There's no software or activation required, and you see there's no programming required to build a complete conference room in a box. There is video switching, there is audio, volume, and microphone control, there is PTZ control, and there is display and projector control over CEC. It gives you everything you need without any programming required. In some applications, they maybe only want to have a remote control, and look at the remote control that comes with your Key Digital presentation switcher. This is included in the box, and you see at the top there, top left and top right, we have the CEC display control commands for display 1 and display 2. On, off, discrete red and green buttons, volume plus, volume minus, audio mute, and AV mute. And At the bottom in section number 3, we see the source selection, which is pretty obvious. But what about in blue, section number 4? This is your camera control. So even the remote control that comes with the presentation switcher is designed to control the entire system. The switcher, the monitors, projectors via CEC, and the audio of either CEC or to the amplifier. Now, I showed you the management software that is used to set up your system. We also have a user mode of the management software, KDMS user. So if you have a client that is asking for a PC-based software, a PC software to control the system from the AV or IT closet, they could do so with the Key Digital Management software, and you do not have to worry as an integrator that they will perhaps mess something up with the unit. You don't want them to cause a problem. And the Key Digital Management software user version does not give them any access to the settings of the unit. It only provides them a control panel for their system. So it's a very nice set of options for the control interface. And of course, you can also integrate this in with your third-party control systems like Crestron or AMX, because all Key Digital products have an open API. So you see the hardware of our presentation solution systems. We now want to take the next step, and we want to go beyond an app that controls just the product, our products. We want to automate this system, and we want to use our software engineering to do this. And so I present to you Key Digital Plug and Present Automation System. Coming soon, the Plug and Present Automation System, you will simply add one CX800. This is a Key Digital control gateway we've had for many years now, and this is a new software for this product. You add the CX800 to build a complete automation system. Automation, it means you don't have to press any buttons. As soon as the user plugs in their laptop, the display will turn on. The Plug and Present system will read the system every 10 seconds to check, is there a presenter connected or not? And once you unplug the presentation cable, then a timer will begin, and the integrator, through drop-downs of the Key Digital Management software, can choose the system off time. So if the user unplugs the HDMI cables and there's no longer a presenter, you can turn off the display within any amount of time you'd like, up to 15 minutes. Now, this Plug and Present is already being integrated here in the US with some beta testers. And this stage of Plug and Present is currently out with IR control of popular displays LG, Samsung, Sony, Vizio, and Epson. But Plug and Present is going to go beyond just IR control of your display. We are adding PJ Link IP control so you can control all of your commercial projectors. If you don't know about PJ Link yet, it is a commercial control or commercial projector universal control protocol. It's not in every single projector, but it's in tens and thousands of projectors out there from all of the popular manufacturers. So you're probably already familiar with this. And you'll just use the Key Digital Management software and enter the IP address of that PJ Link supported projector. We're also adding motorized screen control by adding two of our contact closures, model KD CCXR200. That'll allow you to create a relay control. And those 4 buttons on the wall plate, KDX 4x1 WUTX, those 4 buttons can now be programmed to control any device that you'd like or send any command without, so it's now going beyond just the CEC commands that are built in. Now, of course, plug and present will extend beyond that. Here we will add it to our presentation switchers that I've been showing you, the UPS 52U and the PS 42. And we could, of course, use those switchers in any combination with the plug and present. Here we see the switcher with a standard monitor, or the plug and present using the switcher to the projector and controlling the motorized screen. Now, of course, you may also be familiar with our Pro switchers, KD Pro 2x1X and 4x1X. These are extremely cost-effective switchers, and you can add CX800 to create plug and present system with these low-cost switchers as well. So automation doesn't have to be expensive for your customers. What if they need HD-based-T extenders? Simply add our wall plate extenders on the front end, or our transmit receive black box extenders on the back end to further complement this system, or the plug and present, with all Key Digital hardware. That's the great thing about Key Digital. We're a hardware and a software company. So our product ecosystem is becoming very, very strong by leveraging our hardware and adding to it our software. Now, of course, I showed you earlier an application where we have our presentation switcher, and we're turning on and off the display. We're controlling the amplifier. We're controlling the camera. We're controlling the microphone. And that brings us to the final stage of plug and present, in which we will add the Key Digital app, providing a GUI for control as well as the automation. Why will we do that? Because we want to give you the option to also control your popular AV sources in these systems. We will have a drop-down menu where you could choose to add a streamer, cable box, or DVD player, and you can choose from the popular brands like Apple TV or Roku for the streamers. Cable could be Sky or perhaps DirecTV and a few other popular providers. And we're going to also work with Abhinav, our sales manager and sales head for the Middle East and Asia Pacific regions, to make sure we have the most popular brands for cable, SAT, and DVD players from your regions of the world. So you'll be just choosing a drop-down menu, and it will give you a pre-built control interface that is loaded into the iPad. So basically, it creates now a professional control system without any programming at all. So you see the system getting stronger and stronger through the software. Okay, I'd like to just take a quick look and see if we see the questions here. Okay, before we go on to the next trend, AV over IP, let's go ahead and answer some of these questions, and I'll also do a quick review at the end of the presentation as well. There's a question, KDPS42 has mirrored or separate outputs, and the correct answer is mirrored outputs. KDPS42 and KDUPS52U have mirrored outputs. So there is one HDMI and one HD-based-T, and they both will show the same thing at the same time. Okay, now KDX USB2, can it support 2 interactive screens connected to a single PC? And the answer is yes. Yes, it can, because the screens are like keyboard and mouse devices for us. And so you can, we have 2 USB device ports, and you can even use a USB hub with XUSB 2, and that will allow you to go up to 15 USB devices. Great questions. Thank you very much. An additional question, does Key Digital have plans for a USB-C extender? Yes, we do. We have USB-C on the 4x1 wall plate, but we also have another USB-C extender that we plan to release towards the end of 2020. It'll be in the fourth quarter, so you'll find more information about that in the future. We don't like to look too far into the future, though. Okay, let's see here. Okay, and we'll go ahead and move on. And again, I will continue, or I will go back into the questions at the end of the presentation as well. So thank you very much. So this brings us to our next trend in AV. That is AV over IP. Now, just like with presentation switchers, Key Digital has a full assortment of AV over IP products to talk to you about. Why is AV over IP such a trend right now? Because it uses a network switch as the backbone instead of traditional matrix switchers. You remember your matrix switchers, you know them right now, 4x4, 8x8, 16x16. Well, with AV over IP, you can build non-symmetrical systems. Here is an example, 4 sources at the bottom of the screen and 42 displays at the top of the screen. You simply purchase 1 encoder for every source and 1 decoder for every display. The system is completely expandable, and with Key Digital, it is easy to expand your system as well. You do not have to reprogram your system when you expand by adding an additional encoder or decoder for sources or displays. Because it is so flexible, you will use this instead of your traditional 4x4 matrix, 8x8 matrix. In fact, you could buy 1 source and multiple decoders, 1 encoder and multiple decoders to replace a distribution amplifier, or multiple sources and encoders and only 1 decoder to replace your traditional switches. So you see how flexible it is, and it requires you to just run a single wire to each source and each display. So that's why AV over IP is becoming such a trend. And of course, we've seen this coming for many years now, and this is the future of AV over IP, of AV. But there are some new considerations that you must prepare yourself for with AV over IP. You need to know about what is your desired maximum resolution. How do you wish to handle your audio? Why? Because when you go over a network, you will encounter latency. We'll talk more about that. How do you wish to control the system? We give you a number of available options at Key Digital. How many total endpoints will there be? That's encoders plus decoders. And where will they be located? For example, and the reason why you need to know this is because you will need, if you have encoders and decoders all over the building, you may need to use a fiber to connect multiple network switches. And that fiber, SFP, will most likely not be 1 gig. It will have to be 10 gig, 20 gig, 40 gig, and those become quite expensive. So you need to know what you're working with ahead of time. Will you add a video wall? And of course, most importantly, the final bullet point here, you must work with a verified network switch. We'll show you more information on that in a moment. Now, Key Digital's AV over IP, we're going to get you prepared for this system. How does AV over IP work from Key Digital? We use multicasting. Multicasting takes your HDMI source, it goes into an encoder, and it broadcasts that signal throughout the entire network. Now, sounds great, except for that could cause a lot of problems if you are sending an AV signal to a printer on your network, for example. That's why your network switch requires IGMP, Internet Grouping Management Protocol. This is like the traffic police. It prevents the broadcasts from going to recipients you don't want it to go to. Now, we also require a minimum gigabit bandwidth for your network switch and jumbo frame. It's commonly referred to as 8K jumbo frame. Some network switches call it 10K jumbo frame, 11K jumbo frame. But what it means is that each port can actually pass larger than typical network packets, because AV over IP, 4K especially, 4K AV over IP is some very large network packets. So now you may think that our verified network switch, or these three requirements, may be enough. And originally Key Digital actually said, yeah, as long as it meets these requirements, IGMP, gigabit bandwidth, and jumbo frame, then you can use it. But unfortunately, that may cause problems, and we don't want you to have problems. That's why we have our verified network switch guide on our internet or on our web page, and we will show you more about that. Now here you see the entire product family of AV over IP products from Key Digital. And you see a few different sections here. We do have a 1080p system that's on the far right, the last two columns of this table. We're not going to talk a lot about that product today. We're going to focus on the 4K product, beginning with the IP 822 and 922 and 1022. So these products, the 4K product, they are using Motion JPEG 2000 compression. And it's not just Key Digital using this. This is the most widely used compression for AV over IP in the market. It supports 4K, which means it's minimally compressed. So you get a very high quality image from this, but little compression means high bandwidth. A 4K signal is going to approach, it's actually about 850 megabits per second. It's approaching 900 megabits per second. That's just one encoder outputting 4K resolution. So that's almost 1 gig. That's very, very important. Bandwidth is important, and you will begin to need to calculate bandwidths when you start looking at AV over IP. Because it is a minimal compression, as I mentioned, minimal compression, high bandwidth, but minimal compression also means low latency. The latency of our system is just 40 milliseconds. In other words, that's in the safe zone. It's about 1 frame out of 60. And what does it mean in the safe zone? Well, you know, sometimes if you have a user who is using a keyboard and mouse, there will be no latency. If you are watching a film and you will not get the kung fu movie effect. What does the kung fu? You know, the lip sync, the video and audio are out of sync. You will not experience that. That is actually those sorts of latencies are at a threshold of above 50 milliseconds. And you see we are at 40 milliseconds. So your user will not experience audio video lip sync latency, nor will they experience keyboard and mouse cursor latency. They are PoE powered, but they do have a power supply or power connection, so you can use a non-PoE switch on the 822, 922, 1022s. And very, very important, the 4K product from us requires a minimal of Cat6 cabling. Now we look at our IP 1080. Again, I mentioned we won't go into too much detail with this product. But here with the IP 1080, this uses H.264. H.264 is very popular. We all are familiar with it if you've used Netflix to watch your films and television. That is what Netflix is using. So we know it, and it's very good quality, but it is a very high compression. Now it supports 1080p only, and your 1080p bandwidth, streaming bandwidth, only 15 megabits per second. Very, very little, hardly anything at all. And this system We use this system more for digital signage, bar and restaurant, and because it is so low bandwidth, you could use Cat5e for this system as well. Now, moving on. AV over IP, how do you get prepared for AV over IP? How do we teach you to master this? Well, what we've done at Key Digital now for the last few years is we have pre-configured all AV over IP systems before they leave our building. So all you have to do is complete a questionnaire of the friendly names for the encoders and decoders. For example, we see Apple TV, we see the balcony laptop, we see the camera, we see the projector, we see the entrance television for the decoder names, and tell us your desired IP addresses for each of these units. We will configure them one by one. It saves you so much time, and we will verify that they are working in our lab before shipping. That's going to essentially remove any risk of RMA, which is very, very positive for your experience, very, very positive for your end user experience as well. So this is a free service we offer by Key Digital. Now, the verified network switches. Currently, Key Digital has 10 brands of network switch that we have verified in our lab. And it's not just the brand. We give you specific models. We have this document on our website. You see the verified network switches document, and we give you a table of all of the supported models that we have verified in our lab, and we give you the setup instructions for those network switches so that you can easily configure that network switch even if it's not something you're familiar with doing or comfortable with doing. We take the guessing work out of it for you. Each setup is maybe like 5 pages, and it's mostly pictures. So it's very, very easy for you. And actually, we are happy to pre-configure your network switch in our lab at Key Digital for you if you have that delivered to us in New York. Now, we set up these units with the Key Digital management software, and this is not important for you because we will do it for you. But it's good for you to know that if you ever have to make any adjustments to settings, you will use the same Key Digital management software that I showed you for our presentation switchers. In fact, Key Digital management software is a universal software where we configure all new Key Digital devices. One software to configure all of the devices is very nice instead of requiring multiple softwares. Now let's look at the bandwidth calculations. I've talked about this a few times now, that if you have your encoders and decoders and they need to be connected to more than one network switch, why would that be? Well, you have a 48 port network switch, but let's say you have a system that has more than 48 encoders and decoders. Let's say you have a 3 by 60 system, that's 63 endpoints. You will need to connect with a fiber from network switch 1 to network switch 2. Or if you just simply we had an installation with many of the encoders and decoders in the conference rooms areas, and then we had a single fiber cable connecting from the conference room network switch to the cafeteria network switch, and just a single fiber, and then each area had its own 24 port network switch. So again, this was one of the system preparations. How many endpoints and where are the endpoints located? And if we look here at this system, we have 6 sources, 3 are 4K. And as I mentioned, the bandwidth of a 4K signal is 850 megabits per second. So that alone is approaching 2.5 gigabits. Add to that 3 HD 1080p sources at 250 megabits per second each, and now you have approaching 3.5 gigabits per second. So that is why 1G fiber link is not enough. And we tell you the 10G fiber products in our verified network switches guide so that you know which one you must use. Now, how will you control your system? Again, we have our Key Digital Management Software Pro and User. so that the user cannot change any configurations, any settings to the system, only control. And our Key Digital app, again, a free app. And we could look at some of the really great features it offers, including video wall management by dragging your finger. It's very, very popular. Please download the Key Digital app to find more to experience the demo systems yourself. You'll see that the user experience is very nice. You could also create presets for your system, like with your AV routing. You can also have video preview, so you could see what is each stream outputting, what is the content. Now, let's go look at these products a little closer, beginning with our IP922 and IP822. Now, when you looked at the entire product family, you see here that IP822 and 922 can be mixed and matched within the same system. I'll give you a little history on this system. We have had the KD IP922 in the market for close to 5 years now at Key Digital. And it is a great product that is fully loaded. What does it mean? Lots of connectivity, but all that connectivity is not needed in every application. And unfortunately, it drives the price higher, of course. So 1 year ago, we released the KD IP822, which again can be mix and match. The 822 offers a little less connectivity, and it allows the system to be more cost effective. So you could pick and choose your connectivity where you need it and optimize your price point. Let's go ahead and look closer so you'll see the difference. We're going to start by going through all the features of the 922. Here we see a close-up view of the 922 encoder and the 922 decoder, front and back you're looking at. They have HDMI in with an HDMI pass-through, so you could connect to a local monitor or an AV receiver. On the decoder, you have a local input. So this creates a 2x1 switch, like a local presentation switch. Imagine in your churches where you have, or classrooms where you have signage going throughout the facility. And then if you'd like to have a localized presentation, you could do that using the switch that's built into each 922 decoder. We also have audio de-embedding at both the encoder and the decoder side. This is very unique with Key Digital. Most AV over IP systems from the competitors do not have audio de-embed on the encoder and the decoder. They only have it on the decoder. But that doesn't make sense because usually you'd need to break out the audio at the rack side where the encoders are typically located so that you could feed your audio system. And with our audio over IP, our audio de-embed of our AV over IP products, you have built-in DSP or preamp features, volume, muting, delay to help you compensate for your lip sync and adjustments in large systems, 3-band EQ, and balance. And if you need the breakout at the decoder side, you can use it with our KD Amp 220 and put the amplifier in each room. So this is a very popular option, and then you could control the volume either on the decoder or at the amplifier. The 922s have USB as well. The encoder has a USB-B port for the host, the computer, and the decoder has 2 USB-A ports for USB devices. Now, these do not support webcams, though. The AV over IP is not good for webcams and like continuous video. But let's look at some of the applications for the USB. How about keyboard, video, and mouse in an operation center? Here we see 3 operators in the operation center and 6 operator PCs. The operator PCs have a USB connection from the encoders, and the operator stations have a decoder with the keyboard and mouse plugged in. And whichever PC they are viewing, they will have keyboard and mouse connectivity. So with the 922 USB follows the HDMI. Okay, but with the 1022, I will show you shortly, it is independent. But 922 follows. So if operator 3 is now viewing, if operator 1 is now viewing PC3, then we have the HDMI video and audio, plus we have the keyboard and mouse into PC3. And that brings us to the video wall processing. As you could see from the Operations Center or big digital signage applications, video wall is now very, very popular. And you could build large video walls up to 16 by 16 with our system. It requires one decoder per display, and we do support screen rotation of 0, 180, or 270 degrees. And you could even break up the main video wall into sub-video walls like we're showing here with the blue, purple, and orange area, each showing a unique content. The 922s have dual LAN that you could use to pass through your network. For example, if you need to control your source or display over IP, this is a great way to get those connected source or display devices onto the network. It's like a two-port network switch that is built into each encoder or decoder. And we have 3 multifunction ports. These are IR, RS-232, voltage triggering, or voltage sensing. And they could be used as your control port from your third-party control system, or they could be used as open API, much like Global Cache, so that you can tell an encoder or decoder to send an IR or RS-232 command to your specification. But what is most powerful about these multifunction ports is that they are a built-in compass control master controller. Now, your third-party control system, we initially thought that most customers would actually use these ports so that their AMX or Crestron or Control 4 system would plug in over RS-232 or over the network, and they would be able to control the system. And that's very easy with us, actually. Any control system sends us the same exact switching command that they've been sending our matrix switchers for over 10 years. We've been using the same command, SPO XX SIYY. XX is your output number. YY is your input number. So it means signal processing, output, XX, select input, YY. But actually, as we began to pre-configure the AV over IP systems in our lab, we noticed a very high percentage, over 90% of our systems in the US are utilizing compass control. We look here at a system for a bar restaurant we see the sources on the left and the displays on the right. 8 satellite boxes and 1 cable box plus 1 digital signage player. That's 10 video sources. On the right, we have 14 displays plus a projector. So this is a 10 by 15 system, 25 encoders and decoders total. And if each encoder and decoder is a 3-port compass control master controller, that means that at $0 additional dollars, you have a 75-port control system with our AV over IP using the IP922s. So if we look at this system, we're able to send IR control to the satellite and cable boxes. We can control a music streamer over IP. We can control a security system over RS-232, a lighting control system and HVAC system over RS-232, TCP/IP. We can control our projector with IP or RS-232. We could control our monitors with IR. So this entire system now becomes a full integration system at $0 additional dollars when we use the built-in compass controller that's built into all of our AV over IP products in the 4K product category. The 922 has 3 ports, and the 822 has 2 ports that I will show you here shortly. Of course, our system has EDID management as well, and a very nice feature is that we can downscale an incoming 4K signal to 1080p at the decoder so that you could send 4K content to all of your 4K monitors and down convert the content to 1080p at the 1080p monitors only, so it enables you to integrate with legacy monitors much more easily. Now let's look closely at the 822s, and we won't go into all of the details, but you can see it looks very, very similar, but it just has less connections. Our encoder still has an HDMI pass-through, but there's no USB. There's no dual LAN ports. You could still build video walls up to 16 by 16. There's no local input on the decoder. You have a 2-port control system built in, or 2 control port for your third-party control system. There is no audio de-embed. There's just a single LAN port, and there's no USB. Now, our power supply, very important. The power supply is sold separately with the 822. It is, you see a power connection, but it is not, the power supply is not included in the box. So that is very important. If you need power supply, you should purchase it. Or you can use a PoE network switch. Okay, so that is the 822. Let's look quickly at the IP1022. The IP1022 we see here in our product family. And what is unique about this, it provides independent audio, video, and USB switching. Now, here we see the IP1022 encoder, the IP1022 decoder. It looks identical as the 922. The connectivity is in fact the same, but there is a deep, deep level firmware upgrade that we must apply in our factory, that we must first open the chassis completely. So you will have a higher price point with the 1022 because of this upgrade that must be done. But what does independent USB video and audio routing do for you? Well, we look at the operation center example again. Here, operator 1 is able to select the video of PC2 while listening to the audio from PC5 and view and connect the keyboard and mouse to control the data on PC number 3, which all makes perfect sense in an operation center where they have a video wall right in front of them for large viewing of all of the sources. So again, the IP1022 gives you independent USB, HDMI video and audio routing. What else does the IP1022 give you? Only the IP1022 from our system supports mosaic video walls. Here's an upcoming project that we'll be participating in that we are very, very excited about. The top row of displays is 16 total displays there. Mosaic is like a video wall in unique layouts where one image is mapped across multiple panels. Now with Key Digital mosaic video walls, the monitors must be mounted horizontal and vertical only. Our mosaic video wall does not support a diagonal mount of your display. Keep that in mind because some products in the marketplace do support that feature, but not our system currently. Now, I want to show you a very important system that we have created at Key Digital primarily using our AV over IP, but also using other products that you've learned about from the first portion of our presentation. This is our medical monitoring system. This is a response to COVID-19, helping us to help those in the healthcare industry. Key Digital Medical Monitoring System allows nurses to safely communicate and care for patients with infectious diseases like COVID-19. It reduces harmful staff exposure, and it provides video and two-way communication. So when we look at this system, because it's based on our AV over IP, there's no internet required. It only requires one Cat6 to each patient. It has secure AES encryption, and this is going to be plug and play because we will configure it at Key Digital's offices in New York, verify it before shipping it to you all over the world. For video, we will have our 1080p PTZ camera at each patient bed. At the nurses station, there will be dual monitors viewing 4 or 16 patients, plus a full screen of the patient feed with two-way communication. We will use a professional USB speaker and mic combo from a global leader and an important partner of Key Digital. And the communication link can be initiated by the patient using an emergency button or by the nurse using the Key Digital management software. So let's take a look here at the equipment at the nurses station. So we see the nurses station. The nurse is seated, and there are two monitors in front of the nurse plus the management PC. Monitor 1 that we see on the left is where we get a full screen view of the patient. Monitor 2 on the right is where we have the view of all patients, so that the nurse is always able to see and to view all patients and care for all patients. This is a system based on our IP922, and the IP922s feed in to our multi-viewer, KD MLV 4x2. That is our multi-view quad screen that many of you have used. This is a very, very popular product from us. Here at the nurses station for a 16 patient system, it's just simply adding 16 decoders. And we can build a 16 patient view on monitor 2 by using 6 multi-viewers. 6 multi-viewers because 4 of the multi-viewers provides enough inputs for all 16 patient decoders. But then the 5th multi-viewer allows us to create one screen of all 16 views. And the 6th multi-viewer is what allows us to have seamless full screen switching to have a full screen view of your selected patient. At the patient side, we will have the USB camera and our partner USB microphone and speaker combo feeding into a remote management PC, a mini management PC. This is a product that Key Digital has been working to develop for some time now, where we can load our software so that we can remotely manage systems. Now we are using it a little differently. We're using it as a USB hub so that the USB camera can be converted, the USB, into HDMI to feed the encoder. And the USB microphone and speaker, the audio gets packetized for an audio over IP client and server software that our engineers have created. So the audio is over USB initially, but then it gets converted into IP for the two-way communications. The nurse's microphone in the computer can be heard on the mic speaker combo by the patient. The patient could press the help button, or the nurse can initiate the communication using the key digital management software. So this is our solution for the COVID pandemic of the world. And for more information, you will reach out to Abhinav. I have his email address at the end of this presentation, as many of you may know. Let's look at other customers that are successfully using enterprise AV over IP from Key Digital. Here, in fact, is one of the global leaders in airlines. Here in the U.S., this is their hub for Delta Airlines in Atlanta Hartsfield Airport. They have 30 encoders and 18 decoders, including 2 video walls, flanking left and right monitors that flank a projector. And this is their command center. They are viewing cameras from the runway. They are viewing and monitoring arrival and departure information. And there's keyboard and mouse plugins throughout the entire command center so that they may manipulate those data and control the NVRs from the camera as well. And in fact, this is one of the oldest AV over IP installations in Key Digital's portfolio. Here is a bar and restaurant, and what's cool about this system is that they are not using a control system. So it keeps the price very, very low because they're using our KD IP 1080. That's our 1080p supported AV over IP product. You'll speak to Mr. Abhinav about any pricing inquiries. 14 sources, 56 displays, and each source, they do not change the channel of those set-top boxes. Each set-top box stays on a channel, and in the Key Digital app, which is the free app, they are named as the channel which they are viewing. For example, BBC News is a name of one of the sources. And they are also using our audio matrix, which I did not talk about here today. It is our model MAX 8x8, which is an audio matrix with preamp volume control to control up to 8 zones in the system: volume, source selection, muting control. And it is all controlled with our free app. So there's no control system necessary. They're just using commercial panels which have a schedule power on and power off time at the beginning and end of each day. Now we look at a system in France where we have digital signage, video walls on every floor of this bank. Those video walls are showing content of credit card campaigns. And the beautiful thing of this system is the bank did not pay for it. The credit card companies are paying for it in their marketing dollars towards the digital signage system. Here is a casino in the US, 21 sources and 100 displays. This is a system that is controlled by Compass Control, and we are controlling Rain Halogen Audio DSP. And this is a great system. Why? The casino never turns off the system, of course. It is running 24/7 for many, many years now and working very, very reliably. Just a few more images of some of the installations. Here is a retail showroom signage system. Now, why I like to show this system, of course, it doesn't look the most beautiful, this video wall. In fact, those monitors are not intended to be video wall monitors. You see their frame is a little too thick, right? Well, the installer or the job site is the offices for a sales company that is the sales agent for RCA commercial panels in the US. And what they did was they installed those monitors upside down. They use 180-degree rotation, and we can apply image rotation in our AV over IP system so that we can put the narrow side of the television, of the monitors, together to make a video wall with consumer panels. And so it doesn't look maybe the most professional there, but it is a very cool feature. And I like to show this one because, as you know, many consumer panels have very, very narrow bezels now. And you could apply this technique to install video walls at very low price point. Bar and restaurant here in the US, complete with compass control, and you could see the GUI for the compass control, where it's very, very user-friendly, beautiful installation, including a video wall, 16 panel video wall. And I would love to show you some of the work done by our partners attending this webinar today, including Beratha University in Thailand, AV over IP, and BFF, Best Friends Forever, or Brew Food and Friends in Dubai, installed by our partners at Grand Tech. Thank you very much for being a partner of Key Digital. We appreciate your support, and please send us all of the pictures possible of your job sites. We love to promote them online and promote your company and what you're doing across the world. So there is just one final step for you. That is to go to Key Digital University. I want to show you how we go there. www.keydigital.org/web/signup. This is where you will create a dealer profile so that you may begin your online training at Key Digital University. www.keydigital.org/web/signup. We have an exam. We have a video and an exam called Digital Video Fundamentals. You will, if you create a profile and complete this course, which should take you about only another 1.5 hours, 1.5 hours, you will now qualify for promotional discounts that you can discuss further with Mr. Abhinav. The course is also AVIXA and CEDIA accredited, so if you are a CTS certified technology specialist, this will be really great content. All of our content online is AVIXA and CEDIA accredited. Also, we have a fantastic resource with our system design group that I'd like you to take advantage of. Now, with that said, we can go ahead and begin answering questions. I really appreciate all of the questions that have come in. So please go ahead and type them up and send them in the GoToMeeting chat panel. And please send us your questions. If you have a question, probably another person on the webinar also has the same question. So I would love to hear what you are thinking. We will go ahead and give another 1 to 2 minutes for the questions to come in, and then I will begin to read and answer them. Okay, I will give just one more minute for some more questions to come in. Please keep them coming. I am reading them right now, and they are very good. I will talk to you soon about these questions. Okay, I want to answer the first question here. It was about our system with USB. And let's make sure you can all see my screen now. I am moving to a new slide. Okay, here it is. So if you remember from the beginning of the presentation, if you remember from the beginning of presentation, we have a conference room system and we have USB. It's very important for this system. Okay, I'm trying to show this slide, so just one moment here. Let me make sure I am presenting this slide. Okay, so USB. Now, when we look at this product, actually, there is USB device and host connections on transmitter, on receiver, and on presentation switcher. But actually, you must choose your connections. So when we look here, I will zoom my view of each unit. So when I look at the wall plate, I can see that I must choose USB host or USB device on the wall plate. I cannot be USB host and device. So this is very important question, and I thank you for this question. I want to make sure we understand how the product works. You must choose host or device. Same on the PS22 UTX. This is the transmitter. And you see, we must choose host or device. And on the receiver, HD-Base-T receiver, we also must choose host or device. So you can only use either host, the USB-B port, or device, the USB-A port on the transmitters and receivers. Now, the presentation switcher has also some selection, USB mode selection. And there are 4 USB modes. This is some graphic that is in the owner's manual for this system. So there is 4 modes. Here is mode number 1, and we could see when I come here, okay, mode number 1 and 2 is at the top. 3 and 4 is bottom left and bottom right. Mode number one, oops, sorry. Mode number one is like the typical conference room web camera example. The USB device, for example, the camera, is connected into the receiver, and then the host is connected to the transmitter through the presentation system. Mode number two is an example for like a interactive smartboard, an external keyboard and mouse. We have the USB host on the receiver side, and we have the USB device on the transmitter side. Mode 3 and 4 gives us both directions. In mode number 3, the receiver in blue is the typical conference room webcam scenario, and in green, the keyboard and mouse. So the devices plug directly into the presentation switch in mode 3 to go to the wall plate, or the devices can plug into the receiver and the host plugs into the presentation switch. So you have two different signal flows. Same thing, two different signal flows in mode 4, but it is opposite now. In blue, we have the web camera going into an interactive smart display. And in green, we have keyboard and mouse plug into the wall plate, and perhaps some kind of computer or PC host into the presentation switcher. I hope this is clarifying the USB functionality, and we can pick up on email discussion for this question also. Thank you. Okay, we have some more questions. Okay, we have more question. Oh, where is it? Okay, more question. Oh, come on. Sorry, give me one moment. All right, more questions. Okay. What is the viewing angle of the CAM USB? The CAM USB, okay, one moment. I have some slides for this also. Oops. One moment. Sorry, I am on my computer. I am loading this content. Actually, one moment. Okay. I am looking at some document for the CAM USB. This is just my copy of manual, but of course we have the manual on our website as well. Okay, very good. Yes, CAM USB is using 52-degree viewing angle. So here's an example of the camera in the front of the room. And you get a field of view at 52-degree viewing angle. If you are 10 feet or approximately 3 meters, you get about 3 meter wide viewing angle. If you are at about 4 meters, 4 to 5 meters, you get 4 to 5 meter viewing angle. And you see it's approximately 1 for 1. 30 feet, approximately 30 feet viewing angle. Okay, 52-degree viewing angle. This is for viewing, like for conferencing. Okay, this is popular. Let's see, I'm trying to find some more questions. Okay, we have a question about one more question about PS42 and about single power connection. Let me return to these slides. Oops. Okay, so what does it mean, single power connection? We have here a system, and say we have the presentation switcher, the receiver, and the transmitter wall plate or black box, either one. In this kind of system, only the presentation switcher requires the power supply. Same for the PS42 system. Without USB, I could connect transmitter, receiver, and presentation system. Only the presentation switcher requires the power supply. And of course, if I like to connect point to point, for example, I connect PS22 and receiver, I could connect on either side. Does not matter. I could connect a receiver to power the transmitter or connect a transmitter to power receiver. The only unit that cannot power itself is the wall plates. The wall plates do not have power connection. They must get their power from the receiver or the presentation switcher. Okay, I hope that answers the question for you. Okay, now we have a question about video wall using LED panel. LED panel has different aspect ratio, of course, and we are supporting with our AV over IP. You could use any resolution up to 4K. So most of our applications currently are using 16:9 monitor, but we are trying to gain more and more experience with new LED panels for video wall because we know this is very popular and will be more popular in the future. I'm sorry I don't have very much information about that currently. Now here is a question. Why do we have 2 LAN ports on encoder and decoder? And for this, I like to refer to example how we are using in the patient side of our medical monitoring system. And here, actually, we can see the mini PC here is getting LAN connection from the encoder. So this is an example of why we have 2 LAN ports. We have, of course, LAN connection in to the encoder from the network switch here. Oops. And we have LAN connection out of the encoder into the mini management PC. Thank you very much. That is a good question. This is some real world application, why it is useful. Okay. Okay, very good. Oh, more question. One person is asking, can we please share the information of this slideshow and also for the healthcare system? Yes, Mr. Abhinav will be sharing this information for you. Okay, now we have a question about how many presets in the USB camera. Preset. And I show you in the manual, let's see, where is the remote control? One moment. Okay, here's the remote control. And this one is not the best image, but you can create 10 preset. And excuse me, 10 is 1 through 10 or 1 through 0 button at the bottom. Plus you can make new home preset and new privacy preset. So actually you can create 12 presets for the camera. Okay, here is a new question. What is the maximum distance covered for the camera using transmitter and receiver? So USB camera, if you want to extend that signal, right? Very easy. You have a few options for this. Number one, you may use our USB extender. This one extends the signal up to 50 meters. But remember, we also have built-in USB on the presentation switcher, transmitter, and receiver. And actually, all of these devices, you see the model number here, X100M. It means 100 meter. We are extending HD-Base-T, HDMI, video, audio, and USB. Okay, and we have one more question. Can we design video wall mix-max combination by using the software? I'm not understanding this question, but yes, I think the question is, when we're using our AV over IP, remember the 822 and the 922 is mix and match. And yes, we can use 822 and 922 in the same video wall. So it can create good price point for your video wall. Okay, everybody. This is all of our systems, or all of our questions. And if you have some more question, no problem. You will please email your questions to Mr. Abhinav. And here we could see his information, his contact, abhinav.saxena@keydigital.com. abhinav.saxena@keydigital.com. Thank you very much for attending our webinar today. I really appreciate everybody being with me. Now I am very tired. It is 3:30 in the morning here in New York. So now I will get some sleep. And thank you everybody for joining me today. It is my honor and my privilege to be with you. And please, everybody, be safe. We are experiencing this trouble in the world together. And I care for you all as a friend, as a customer. It is very much appreciated. Please, you and your family, be safe. We will be stronger at the end of this whole pandemic. Thank you again for being with us, everybody. Thank you very much. Be safe, be well.